Rambam would have deleted social media. There is a moment every day when I open social media and feel my soul leave my body. Not dramatically, not like a biblical prophecy with thunder, angels, and someone named Ezekiel seeing wheels inside wheels. More like a tired Jewish dad watching someone with an anime avatar explain Middle Eastern history with the confidence of a man who once skimmed a TikTok while microwaving pizza rolls. And every time, I think the same thing. Rambam would have deleted these apps. Not because he was weak, not because he could not handle debate. Please. This was Maimonides, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, the Rambam, a refugee from Islamic persecution, a physician, a philosopher, a legal genius, and one of the most important Jewish thinkers in history. If Judaism were an operating system, Rambam wrote the user manual. He could handle disagreement. What he could not handle was stupidity pretending to be enlightenment. And that, my friends, is basically the business model of the internet. The Rambam believed in clarity, discipline, reason, moral responsibility. He organized Jewish law with a level of precision that makes modern comment sections look like raccoons fighting inside a dumpster behind a Wendy's. He did not confuse volume with wisdom. That alone would disqualify him from most platforms today, because modern discourse rewards the opposite of Rambam's entire worldview. It rewards impulse, rage, certainty without knowledge, slogans without definitions, accusations without evidence, and my personal favorite, people who do their own research by copy pasting the same slogan 400,000 others also didn't read. Rambam would look at this and say, in the most elegant medieval Hebrew possible, maybe close the laptop. The man believed the human being was supposed to refine himself, not just spiritually, but intellectually and morally. You were not supposed to be ruled by every appetite, every emotion, every passing mood, every crowd chant. Today we call that posting. Someone gets angry, types something insane, hits send, and then spends 6 hours explaining how the problem is everyone else's reading comprehension. This is not discourse. This is a public nervous breakdown with Wi Fi. And nowhere is this more obvious than in the way people talk about Jews, Israel, Zionism, and anti Zionism. The modern anti Zionist loves to cosplay as a scholar. He has not read Jewish history. He does not know what Zionism means. He cannot define indigeneity without accidentally proving the Jewish case. He thinks the Temple Mount is a metaphor, Hebrew is a colonial language, and Jews wandered into Jerusalem sometime after brunch in Brooklyn. But he is very confident, painfully confident. The kind of confidence only achievable through complete ignorance. Rambam would have noticed that immediately, because Rambam understood something our age has forgotten. Clarity requires responsibility. You do not get to use words you refuse to define. You do not get to accuse a people of genocide because the word gives you emotional leverage. You do not get to call Jews colonizers in their ancestral homeland while standing on land your own country actually colonized. Words matter, definitions matter, truth matters. And if that sounds obvious, congratulations. You are now overqualified for graduate school activism. The Rambam was not afraid of difficult ideas. He wrote the Guide for the Perplexed for people wrestling with faith and reason. He did not say, stop asking questions. He said, in effect, ask better questions. Think more carefully. Do not confuse confusion with depth. His Judaism was not vague spirituality or tribal nostalgia. It was law, memory, covenant, nationhood, responsibility. That is what makes him so relevant right now. We live in an age of moral shortcuts. People do not want to study, they want to signal. They do not want history, they want hashtags. They do not want moral clarity, they want moral performance. And Jews, as usual, have become the test, because how people talk about Jews reveals whether their principles are real or decorative. Do they believe indigenous people have rights? Good. Let's discuss the Jewish people and Israel. Do they believe minorities should define their own identity? Excellent. Then stop telling Jews what Zionism means. Do they believe rape victims should be believed? Wonderful. Then explain the sudden footnotes after October 7. Do they oppose terrorism? Beautiful. Then stop calling murder resistance because the victims were Jewish. This is where the mask slips. The issue is not criticism of Israel. Criticize policies, argue over governments, debate borders. Israelis do this every day with the passion of people arguing over the last parking spot in Tel Aviv. Valid criticism of Israel is not anti Semitism, but anti Zionism is something else. Anti-Zionism says the Jewish people, uniquely among nations, do not have the right to sovereignty in any borders, under any government, under any conditions. It does not say, change this policy. It says, end this state. No other people on earth are told their national self-determination is inherently illegitimate. That is not human rights. That is a demolition order for Jewish self-determination. Rambam would have seen through the word games. He lived in a world where Jews knew exactly what it meant to survive under the power of others. He did not have the luxury of pretending exile was romantic. He knew that Jewish life without Jewish strength depended on the mood swings of rulers, mobs, clerics, and kings. And Jewish history is very clear on this point. The mood swings were not kind. So when people today sneer at Jewish sovereignty as if it is some embarrassing modern invention, they are not being sophisticated. They are being historically illiterate. Jews did not invent Zionism because we were bored. We returned to sovereignty because exile kept trying to kill us. That is the part polite society does not like to say out loud. Rambam would say it anyway, probably with better grammar. And that is what I admire most about him. Not just his brilliance, his seriousness. He treated truth as something sacred, not a toy, not a weapon for social status, not a costume for political fashion, a responsibility. Imagine applying that standard to social media. Before posting, ask, do I know what I am talking about? Have I studied the thing I am condemning? Am I using this word correctly? Am I reacting from wisdom or ego? Am I seeking truth or applause? Half the internet would vanish by lunch. By dinner, civilization might recover. The Rambam would not have deleted social media because he feared argument. He would have deleted it because he understood that the soul becomes what it repeatedly consumes. Feed it rage, it becomes rage. Feed it lies, it becomes useful to liars. Feed it slogans, it forgets how to think. Feed it Torah, memory, discipline, and truth, and maybe, just maybe, it becomes human again. That is the lesson. Not that we should all log off forever, though honestly, some of us should consider a nice walk. The lesson is that Jewish clarity is not accidental. It is built, studied, practiced, repeated, morning and night, in prayer, in law, in memory, in argument, in refusing to let the mob define reality for us. Rambam would have looked at our age of noise and reminded us that intelligence is not the same as wisdom. A platform can give everyone a voice. It cannot give everyone something worth saying. So yes, Rambam probably would have deleted social media. But first, I like to imagine he would post one final thought. Before you speak, study. Before you condemn, define your terms. Before you follow the crowd, check your own soul. Then he would close the app, and somewhere, for the first time in years, the internet would get a little smarter. If you enjoy my writing, support me by buying my book, Screaming into the Void, available on paperback or Kindle on Amazon.com.